This is day 215 of the Arukh HaShulchan OC. So if you'd like to sponsor an upcoming shir more of the Arukh HaShulchan OC, it would be greatly appreciated. Please contact me directly. Today we're doing Simon Kuf Nun Daled, Sif Yud Aleph, to Simon Kuf Nun Daled, Sif Yud Zayin. And remember yesterday, we didn't finish the Nineveh topic, which we continue on to today. And just find my place here. Sorry. We are talking about the Tnoim and Tashmisha Kedusha, how they work. To say that even in making a stipulation, it's as if you made a stipulation. It's difficult to say that. And this is stated in the Shumas Station that it's evidently say there that it's a doichak to say that the Tanai works by Tishmisha Kedusha. That's Tishmisha. But nevertheless, you have to say that the Tanai works. Why? We see that we put in the Aron Kodesh, Sefer Torah, which are possible, which now no longer have the Sefer Torah in terms of Kedusha. And we leave their extra curtains and such like. Also should be forbidden because Aron Kodesh, Kedusha can't use it for any other purpose. You have to say, compelled to say, that it's as if we made a condition. And we know that there are places where they make chuppahs from the parochas. Because the grama, it should be completely forbidden. Therefore, you have to say that it's as if they made a condition. We also see that in Simchas Torah and the Orim, the kids, when they have their flags, flags, ancient custom. Wow, they flew on as their flags the cloths of the Sefer Torah. You have to say it's as if this was stipulated. But the best thing to do is the time you make them Yom before, it should say explicitly they're doing it conditionally that they should be suitable to be used or appropriate to use. Therefore, it makes sense. So what we do in Rosh Hashanah Rabbah, Shulchan calls Sefer Torah al bima, to take all Sefer Torah onto the bima. Put a candle in the Aron Kodesh. It should be completely forbidden. The Taz evidently is very highly displeased with this. Besides, we put other Sfarim in Aron Kodesh. Sefer Torahs people put their Tanakh, whatever else. So therefore, we're compelled to say that it's as if we made a condition. There's really no choice. In brackets here, long brackets. Taz writes that Aron, which is made for temporary usage, has no kedusha. Pashut, it's obvious. Sefer. There was a putting a Sefer Torah type of Sefer Torah. And these barber there some rich bay base. Let's explain elsewhere. The people who bind books. Shows me Kodesh Dapim. Rabbi Kaplan has an article which talks about incunabula, books printed before 1500, and that he used to find incunabula which were used by binders in binding Sfarim, which were somewhat newer. They took the leaves from the older Sfarim, and so that is what they did. They used to take older Sfarim, tear them apart, and use the pages for binding newer Sfarim, gluing the sides to the main body. So he says, we've already protested that. There's some people careful, some people not careful. We must rebuke them. He tried to find some merit for this. He himself conceded that it's difficult to say any limud schus. It's not dachuk, it's completely forbidden. We can bring evidence for the halacha of our Rabbi Yerushalmi Megillah. Rabbi Yirmiyah Aza Legavalna. Yirmiyah went to a place called Kaval. Chamsin Yabin Bekusha B'Garona. He saw them putting some object into the Aron Kodesh. In the brackets, he explains. Those in Chayfetz Aron Kodesh. I also showed Rabbi Yami. I said, Rabbi Yami, how can you do this? I'm like, Ani Omer Kachi Nula B'Tchila Akal Shono. So Rabbi Yami said, I can say, right? We can say that they made a stipulation to begin with. Arukh HaShulchan argues. It was not known that they made a stipulation. It was no Rabbi Yerim had been astonished. Yami said to him, they came in Nogukane, since that's their custom. We should assume this was their initial intent. They make a stipulation. It's as if they made a stipulation. Odis Hashem also says there, Kol Kliya Beis HaKnesses, Kebeis HaKnesses. All the kalim of a shul are like a shul. Safsala, the Kaltura, the benches, and a Kaltura, I think, are the pews. I'm not sure. Ineno Rosh Hasholim, Safsale, V'Shulchano, Shulchan Beis HaKnesses, U'Menorah Beis Simcha. And despite that they have the din of Beis HaKnesses, we see that they take the chairs and the tables of the shul and they loan, and also the candlesticks, and they loan them out to simchas. Right? It's a gomer, which should be completely forbidden. You have to say the Havakil Hisame Karakim. If the custom like that, it must be that the minhag, we assume a universal tnoim on these usages. People put the crowns, what's interesting a minute, people put the crowns, which we put on top of the Sefer Torah, on top of the Baal Koreh, when the on Sefer Torah, we don't protest against them. We just put those crowns on top heads of Chassanim, that's not acceptable. Pshita is obviously they made it stipulated ahead of time, it's obviously permissible. So obviously, he's saying that put on the top of the Baal Koreh. We knows that. We assume it's stipulated. Because it's the honor of the Torah. Of Rosh Chasanim, the Amma, but just on the heads of Chasanim, Shein Tzorch Hedio, which are the uses of common usage, usage of commoners. Mistama Lo, he knew that we assume was not part of any condition. If we find that people are actually doing that, the Mina Gamal Tzorch Hedio Hedio. Hidden that there must be the amazing stipulation even for the use of commoners. That they put a common object on a kodesh. It is also indicated by the fact that people borrow the chairs or whatever from the shul for simchas, like we wrote. Yudal Okal Kasa Sif Yutes, I'm not only Sefer Torah Menichim Mipachos Bebeis HaKnesses, those who donate Sefer Torah and they get with cloths for winding it. You can use it for any of the Sefer Torah, not just for the Sefer Torah with which they were donated. They were made a hekdesh on that intent. And but those who bring them to the houses. And then they and then they make them kodesh. Somehow they brought him home first. That's also sefer naseh, since it's made specifically for that sefer. Nishtamish was a sefer, and the use of that sefer. Also, you can't use another sefer Torah. I guess it's all level the question of designation, how designated it is for unique sefer Torah. Some people permit this. We also allow this today. Mishum lay based in masna, because to us we assume that that's lay based in masna. That it's kind of like Lonita Torah Malchusharis, who can be makbid the same cloth. Shows goes Sefer Torah. So we assume that that's the minute. This is why it's a minute. Sometimes you take the cloth, which again can be a wimple or a gartel, and the mantle from one sefer to another sefer. That's how makdish gan. The person who gave it has that in mind. Bein makdish and b'simu sefer Torah acheres is not concerned if they put another sefer Torah. And initially, when he gave it with this stipulation. Tesbab, you're there. Simchuv lamates bar. The nero shel kochavim shekiban hachashmal. Hashabash, sorry, chashmal. Sorry. I don't know how they came to that. These battle we saw mutin lehedjot. I don't know what candles of stars are. Oh. Neo Shel Kochavim means Neo Shel Ovdei Kochavim. Right? The candles of non-Jews, which their shamish, their beetle extinguished. They are no longer usher, and mutar mediot, and since they're extinguished, they become negated, and a common person used them. Our mitzvah, but the use for mitzvah mosu, it's disgusting, vast and forbidden. Therefore, their beetles sold them, Bechoran sold them, Onasan or gave them Yisrael to a Jew. Also, a legal basis they still can't lie in the shul. Avarian Gomer, also a total criminal. Who serves idols, so became a pagan. Machal Shabbos or a desecrated Shabbos in public. Shanas Shabbos gives wax, or neros, or candles, based on Knesses to a shul. Also, legally not allowed to light them. The Dami Lekolban. It's like a carbon. Shem Mekayim. In other words, you don't accept carbonos from Mumorim. So it's from so too you don't accept their nedavos for the shul. Nevertheless, there are those who say, but the Bais of Dubo Kochavim, house in which they were worshipped Avodah Zarah, Mutar Lispal B'Tochel and B'Chum B'Shani. Allowed to use afterwards for a shul because it's connected to the ground and karka only does not get forbidden. We know that a house has a status of something which was separate from the ground and then connected to the ground. That's considered still separate and can become usher in Avodah Zarah. That's where they worship the house itself, like Marcolis or Asherah. But where Asherah is planted, obviously by somebody for that purpose. Says they didn't worship the house itself. You can be lenient with such a mechubar. And Mishnah Berurah writes, the Mekayim writes to be Meko, and the Rabbis Machmir, but the world seems that they're Noeg L'Hakil. But you should know that all that is they didn't put their idols there. But if they put the idols there, it's for a mitzvah you can't use that. And you should know that if it was only rented to them, it's possible that you can be lenient. Now, we know that many places, especially in America, churches became shuls. Unfortunately, shuls also became churches, but churches became shuls, especially in the 19th century. The famous basement of Shagodol on the Lower East Side, Arukh HaShulchan, burned down a couple of years ago, was a good example. So, it could be that since the Ashkenazim or the Christianity is not Avodah Zarah, so therefore for us it's mutter, but for Sfarim would be also. I don't know, but we see many elements do it. Obviously, many poskim say we should refrain it, or Moshe also, as far as I know, says not to do it. But as far as I understand, Yeshiva Staten Island actually is in a former convent or monastery, and does use their sanctuary as their base medrash. Never been there, but that's what I've heard. So now you are at Tehran, even if it's frowned upon. Back to Arukh HaShulchan, Shituk Sheyami Kodem by base. If it was originally shul, and then they use it for a avodah zarah, it doesn't become usher, even when they put the avodah zarah there. They invaded us. If you find a mouse, presumably dead, in the oil of a shul, imumos, if it's disgusting, you can't write a shul mishum hakirvela pakoscha. You should give significant things to your governors, something to Hashem. Even if it's mutter to a commoner, Achbar might be but of shishim. And some people say that if there's 60, and a common guy could actually eat it, not because the Achbar is batel. The mutar gam lipo basically also light in shul. Came before b'toras habayis the Rashba. The came the shishim eno mos. Rashba says actually if it has 60, it's not repugnant. In brackets it says chol devashul kochavim also shtam b'sheis hakneses over chol dvar mitzvah. Anything which is used for, which is avodah zarah, Of course, you're not allowed to use for shul and for any dvar mitzvah. Tes zayin midin also because Oran Yasha basically that's what divrei kodesh for divrei chol. Following everything we learned, so the lights in the shul should be only used for kodesh, not for chol. Because still you should not be allowed to light your candle at home from a candle in shul. Those who say it's only when they're burning for the purpose of the mitzvah. When it's time to extinguish them, mutter, then they no longer are off limits. People are not careful about this, and they light a candle when it's absolutely necessary. Rama says maybe you have lay based in masna on the fire as well. And so too by everybody else. We're lenient in these parameters. This is because of the reason a lay based in masna at kalashari. That those who write that to light a candle Motzei Shabbos, to take in your hand to go home in the dark, some people consider a dvar mitzvah. Those who write the chalik to distinguish by misha nodar ne'ela beis haknesses, to somebody who donated a candle to shul, not even allowed to light havdalah candle from it. As opposed to the treasurer buying the candles, somebody volunteers it, not lay base masna. They didn't mistama that it should only be used for kodesh. But the gizbar buys mistama buys for people to use as well, and therefore it would be able to use even for tash mishachol, and the Mishabur concurs in this. Candles which are in front of the menorah. I'm not sure if name is literal, it could be on the menorah as well. That's also because that's specifically for the donated for that purpose. The kosh came b'nei the amud, and certainly it's true about the candles in front of the amud, which are being used to light up the shliach tzibor's family. The dai show that even in Israel is a cloud. Today nobody's concerned about any of this. The kohen michtabim, and they read regular letters b'nei anei shliach menorah in front of the candles, which are in front of the menorah. If they amud, and that which is in front of the amud, and they use it to light the cigarettes, the chol tzarech and all other common uses. Even though it's not a great need at the wall. So therefore you have to say that since that's the custom, even when a person gives candles, not just when he gives or buys them, no saying the das king gives it that way, that a common person should be able to use it. Nobody in our day and age is careful about this. Ashkenazism is a praiseworthy person doesn't rely on these leniencies and is stringent. A candle of Avdallah has no kedusha, which is why you're not allowed to light it from the candle of the Beis HaKnesses. It's interesting that Bialachas wants to say that that's only after you made Avdallah on it. But before Avdallah, it has some form of kedusha, because it's going to be Mishamish Mitzvah. Interesting. Okay. I'm sure that works. Comes on, falls off. One thing which, before we get to the end of these halachas, a big problem in yeshivas and Batei Medrash is that people go to the bima, the bima in the middle of the shul is more the problem. The bima, the shulchan, whatever you want to call it, and they lean on it while learning, sometimes while davening also, but particularly by learning. And lichor should be awesome because you're using tashbishay kedusha to lean on and to support yourself. And there are many people who are makbid not to do it, but we would have to say the assumption is that if it's in a Beis Medrash or a yeshiva and people learn there all the time, even a shul, people learn there, lay based in Masna Aleim, that you can lean on them, and that's considered to be part and parcel of its normal usage. Yud Zayim, Chasar B'nei B'nei Tezvav, B'nei Krach, people in Metropolis, Shokanu Sefer Torah, they bought Sefer Torah, and they made a stipulation. Shem Yetze Echa Me'akrach, if somebody leaves the Metropolis, Shashom Yidin Lo Chelko, the people remain, will pay off his portion. Fukura Sfarim, and now Sfarim became more expensive. In that case, when a person leaves, you only give him what he gave. V'avagad b'chol shuters, even though in any partnership, because if there was such a condition, it's like it's based worth now. But in this case, it's saying mistama loisa kavana so shuma oz. We do here by Sefer Torah. We say his kavana is not to make an assessment when he actually leaves the city. But they made a condition for a specific amount, which was known ahead of time. The times who at the time that they purchased Sefer Torah. The times who adinim huzu. Now the flip side of that is it went down in price. So shame you have to pay according to the level of expenditure. But there's another reason. We don't know what their intent was. Came a Sefer Nisharetz, limited to Sefer staying by them. Bivadai, for certain. And he wants to get money out of them. They can say, I say Raya, bring proof, but really we want to pay according to this higher price. Well, if he's according to this, if it goes down in price, you only have to give him according to its price now. They can say them the opposite in this case. I say bring proof that we were intent was to sell it to you based on what it was then. Here too, and he comes out kerech mikan, bald on both sides. It's a lavush. If the according to this condition was that he will give them their money, he told a Sefer Torah, and he's going to give them. He's going to take the Sefer Torah with him. Then he's Muslim in Torah. And even now he agrees to take money and leave the Sefer Torah, but them they're not called muhzakim. They're not holding on to it for the purpose of Motzach Ve'el Avaraya. Since he has the capacity to remove them, and the Biur Halacha writes the same thing.